So on one hand we have Dan Harmon Story Circle, and the other hand we have Squid Game. So let's see if Squid Game actually fits Dan Harmon's Story Circle. And not just one of its episodes, we're also going to try and fit the entire 9-episode season into the very same story structure. We start episode 2 in the comfort zone. All the players are back in their dorm after playing one of the first deadly games. What makes this a comfort zone? Well, they currently believe that they are out of danger, so they are in a state of comfort, although probably still quite dismayed at seeing 200 odd people die in front of them, but they are in a comfortable place compared to where they were in the previous episode. I believe in this episode, it actually very interestingly comes up with 2 separate arguments about need and desire. About half the players vote to leave because they want to not go through another death game, whereas the other half of players want to continue to play because they want the money. So right there we have a need to survive and also a need to survive. Just 2 different arguments of how they're going to achieve that. Now, the last vote that's cast actually allows all the players to go home, and this is where we get the next section of this episode. Now all the characters return back to their normal lives. The reason it's unfamiliar is because they are now changed because of the very first game, because of the possibility of winning so much money and answering all of their problems. They now perceive their old life in a new way. However, when we do follow the characters who've returned to their old lives, they're now in an unfamiliar situation because their life is now put into perspective. 2 or 3 key lines here explain this perfectly, especially when one of the characters does state,
여기가 더 지옥이야.
Additionally, each of the characters' own stories have moved on since they've been in the game. The lead protagonist's story shows that his mother has gotten ill in addition to his prior problems. So not only does he owe money to various people, his daughter is about to leave the country, he needs to have money for that. His mother now also needs money for medical attention as well. Each character now tries to solve their original problems with their original means, only to find that they literally have no other options, which is also part and parcel of the story of this entire series. Each of the characters now understands what they're really putting at stake, and they choose to confront the fear of losing their life or winning the money. Quite simply, they get what they want. They end up going back to the games. Each character during phases 3, Unfamiliar Situation, and 4, Adaptation, must now pay the price to get what they want, and this means that all of them have to put their lives at risk, but they also have to leave their lives behind. The protagonist must leave his ailing mother and daughter. Other characters have to leave other family members and their old lives behind to continue on their path to try and solve their monetary problems by going through these deadly games. Number 7, return to comfort. This doesn't mean that they have to return to the very same place that they were comfortable before. Instead, they return to a place where they are comfortable, where they understand the risk and are willing to move forward at that point. Number 8, having changed. Now, number 7 and number 8 tend to go hand in hand because we understand the final elements of number 8 is that it shows how the character has changed across the events of your story. How has the conflict changed them? Well, in this case, the character has gotten back onto the bus as he did in episode 1. However, this time, he knows exactly what he's going towards. He knows exactly what he's putting at stake to get his desire. If you're a filmmaker, don't forget to check out the link above and down below to my Cinematic Language 101 course to help you master your cinematic language. So Dan Harmon Story Circle works beautifully with every episode in Squid Game, but it goes deeper than that. Dan Harmon Story Circle actually works perfectly with the entire series as a whole as well. Number 1. Comfort Zone. We find the protagonist living his life, carefree, gambling, living off his mother, and he has no real reason to change. Number 2. Need and Desire. We find out that he has a huge amount of debt, and now that his daughter is leaving, he has to find a way of earning a lot of money very quickly to solve his immediate problems. Number 3. The Unfamiliar Situation. Our protagonist is invited to earn more money in the Squid Games. He leaves only to be shocked by the violence and deadly nature of these games before he decides to leave. The situation is so unfamiliar, so incredibly uncomfortable, that he has to leave the situation even though it is counter to his initial desire. He puts his life before money. This is probably a good thing. Number 4. Adaptation. Adaptation tends to be probably the middle section of your story, and it's going to probably be the longest amount of time. In Save the Cat, this would also be known as the fun and games section of the structure. After section 3 and our character's left, only to find out that he can't solve any of his problems, and really the life outside the Squid Games is almost as lethal as the games themselves. So he chooses to go back to the games to try and solve his monetary woes. However, this time he chooses to adapt. He learns and even learns how to cheat to win. Number 5. They get what they want. The character wins the games and he wins the money. He gets his initial desire. It's as simple as that. It's basically it. Yeah, he wins. Number 6. They pay the price. And in this case, he loses everyone he makes connections with during the games, including in the final game itself, losing his childhood friend in a death match to win the money. Number 7. Yeah. They return to comfort. In this case, that means he returns to his old life. And this leads us straight into number 8. Getting that right with the fingers. Quite proud of myself right now. Having changed. Having changed really leads us to realize, well, I mean, he's been through the games. He is incredibly traumatized, and also he has all of this money. His life is completely changed. However, the personal change that has gone on within him means that he hasn't touched any of the money that he's won. The billions of won, which equates to roughly £27 million. Section 8, having changed, also allows you to develop a character who has more than one goal. And by the end of Squid Game, we understand that he has a new goal. He chooses to confront the creators of the Squid Games. And that we now understand could potentially be the new drive for the next series. Squid Game doesn't just fit into Dan Harmon's Story Circle. It actually fits with all of the most popular story structure methods out there. So, as I said before, each story structure has a lot of value that it can give you in your storytelling journey. So don't forget to learn as many of them as you possibly can, because each one will give you something that you can go forward, use, and improve your storytelling.